Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. It's your purchase and pricing email concierge for inquiring about this or any Watchbox watch. Email me for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. The original Patek Philippe 5208 P came out in 2011 as Patek Philippe's first series production Grand Complication wristwatch, and this, the 5208R, followed up in 2018. The watch is 42 millimeters in diameter in rose gold, 15.2 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 52 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll zoom out, take a quick look at how the watch appears on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that it fits nicely. Handsome, broad, substantial. The timepiece is not for the shrinking violet. It is not for the bashful man. As you can see, it stands proud of the wrist, and being quite broad, it's an insistent presence that makes a statement. In rose gold, it makes quite an impact. You can see across my wrist, it's quite broad, so I would recommend it for a wrist no smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. You can see on my wrist, it's large, but it's not overwhelming. But if your wrist gets much smaller than mine, you're going to find that perhaps the watch is just a bit too overpowering relative to your forearm. This is a large timepiece. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss finish, black monotone stitch. There's a folded edge. There's a little bit of bolstering to give it thickness. Calf skin on the bottom. You can see this is a brand new Patek Philippe factory strap. The watch includes little pull-tab spring bars, so you can quickly remove the strap from the case without a tool, and then there is a calatrava cross on top of a single fold matching rose gold Patek Philippe deployant clasp. Snap that shut, roll over to the case flanks. I apologize for my fingerprints here, but the most secure and safe way to hold a valuable watch is without gloves. Now, as you can see in profile, the watch is a little bit lighter and airier than it looks from head on, as the lugs are entirely evacuated, and you can see that they're wonderfully graceful and spare. The timepiece doesn't look massive in profile, just substantial, and you can see they've even used a concave profiled bezel to reduce the apparent mass and monolithic appearance of the watch on the wrist. There's a repeater slide that's satinated internally, and then of course we have the repeater trigger externally that charges the strike barrel. Now, the dial includes a monopusher chronograph, a moon phase, instantaneous change perpetual calendar, and of course, underneath the repeater, what you can see here is that Patek, in good taste, used black discs for the day, the date, and the month. And then we have rose gold faceted individual baton-style indices for the hours, frames for the date, and then we have half-faceted Dauphine-style hands down the center. Now, the watch does have a moon phase adjustment interval of 122 years. The perpetual calendar will not need to be reset until the year 2100. The watch does include a monopusher chronograph with column wheels, so you can see when you stop it, you must reset it. It is, after all, a mono pusher. There is no separate reset trigger. There are little pushers along the sides that you can use to activate the calendar complications. And then you have a day-night indicator underneath the pinion for the hour register, and you can see right now it's white. It goes from white to blue. When it's blue, you don't use the quick set triggers to set the calendar. Now, the watch will give you its longest song. We may as well actually stop that monopusher chrono. You can see there are some quirks associated with the chronograph architecture in this monopusher chronograph. The best way to fire up a minute repeater is to set it to 12:59. Let's have a listen and hope I got it. The timepiece is impressively spec'd front and back, and I should mention that the traditional definition of a grand complication is not a watch that is very complicated or a watch that has a tourbillon and some number of other complications. Specifically, by historical standards, a grand comp is going to be a chronograph, a perpetual calendar, a minute repeater, and then you can add whatever other complications you want, but it must be that core three. The tourbillon has not traditionally been a component of a grand complication. Now, you can see on the reverse side, we have a movement with a long name. It's an alphabet soup, alphanumeric to be precise, RCH27PSQI, which describes all of the functions that this watch has. It's an automatic winder by micro rotor with a 48-hour power reserve serve. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It has 719 pieces, pivots on 63 jewels. It's free sprung for durability and precise setting. It is adjusted in 6 positions. It has an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring. It's guaranteed to work to the extent that it runs no worse than -3 plus 2 seconds per 24 hours. And then, of course, it has all of its attendant complications and remarkably fine finish. Not every Patek Philippe is finished to the same standards, but the grand complications are finished to their highest standard, where everything truly is done by hand. From the black polished strikers and gongs to the broad and luminous Côte de Genève, you have guilloche cut on the rotor. It's a grand doge, or barley corn. We have setination on the wheels. You can see the locating pegs as well as the screws of the movement are black polished. You'll also see there's a centrifugal governor hiding underneath a gold Calatrava cross. All of the screw heads are black polished, but their slots and circumference also beveled. We have mirrored anglage a mile wide, and you can see it gleaming on the edge of every bridge. We also have satination on the wheels and then engine turning on the base plate. There's a lot to love here and a lot to see. When you buy this watch, it pays to also have a loop. The watch features a lateral clutch and column wheel for actuating the chronograph, and then because this is a minute repeater, it's water resistant against moisture and dust only, not against rain or splashes even, and that's just a consequence of a case that's designed to conduct as much sound as possible from the inside to the outside. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.